did the Autotask Partner Summit.
Hi, this is Charles Weaver with MSP News. I'm joined by Rob Bissett from 6Fusion. Rob, thank you for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
So, for everybody who does not know who 6Fusion is, you're relatively a new company, but tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Correct. We are a young company. We're in the infrastructure as a service business. 6Fusion's business is helping companies, service providers, create public and private clouds and selling them to their end users in a utility metered model. So we do public cloud, private cloud, and what we call community cloud enablement. And that's based on a proprietary algorithm we've developed to help create a unit of measurement for the cloud that helps customers understand how much compute power they need and then to sell and market it to their customers on a consumption basis.
So, to use another term, infrastructure as a service may be something that a lot of people in the channel community are hearing a lot these days.
Correct.
You're not a typical infrastructure as a service play, though. I mean, a lot of people are familiar with the bigger data centers who are doing this, but what's your take on infrastructure as a service?
So, simply explained, infrastructure as a service is taking compute power, essentially taking a server, and rather than selling the physical box and installing Windows on it, you take a slice of a virtual infrastructure and deliver it across the cloud. So it's the same Exchange server that you would sell your customer, but rather than putting it on a physical piece of hardware, selling it one time, you host it in the cloud and sell it to your customer in a recurring basis. That's the basis of infrastructure as a service. Sort of the history of that is that the big data center companies and the managed hosting companies took their physical infrastructure and sliced it up and started to sell it that way. And that's sort of the genesis of the Terramarks and the Rackspaces of the world. 6Fusion takes a very different view of the market. We're 100% channel focused to begin with. We see a very significant role for the channel in the cloud specifically, but mostly with infrastructure as a service. We have a software platform that allows us to federate third-party data centers. And what that means is that we work with data centers around the world, in Canada, the United States, and Bermuda, and we create a network of data centers and we expose them through a piece of software that allows the service provider to pick the data center that they want to use, to create private networks, install their own firewalls, and completely manage that virtual environment for their customers. And of course, we sell that exclusively to the channel and in a utility model. So it's really a pay-as-you-go model, which works extremely well for the channel because it creates a great opportunity to create profit.
And I would think that that would be extremely lucrative in today's environment when you have certainly a lot of discussion and hype about cloud, but in the channel, for people who are paying attention, cloud is really about private cloud. So you're really, it seems like, meeting a need of private cloud enablement for service providers who really want to get into this and own the relationship from top to bottom.
Exactly. We see a lot, we work with a lot of VARs and a lot of managed service providers who have a need for cloud, right? They have a need to provide cloud-based services to their customers. And the software as a service market, the hosted Exchange market, the hosted SharePoint market, really has a way of separating the value from the managed service provider. It's difficult for them to establish a clear value proposition. It's competitive. For infrastructure as a service, it's the exact opposite is true. The managed service provider controls the customer engagement from top to bottom. It's the same Windows, it's the same Exchange, it's the same total value. The difference is that there's no physical hardware involved, so it's a great way for them to enter that market. We've seen a lot of service providers, and in fact a number of our customers built out their own clouds and discovered that that's not the best use of their resources, buying hardware and paying their internal staff to manage hardware. So we see our program as a great entrant because we're channel focused, we're non-competitive, we work with the channel to help them succeed, but we provide those compute resources without the MSP having to make an upfront investment. They can basically access the resources as needed with no capital up front, rebrand them as their own service offering and take it to market. So it's very simple to get in, it's very simple to sell, and it becomes a tool that you can add to your portfolio and pull it out as necessary with your customers. And that allows you to keep that value add, that consultative value as part of your engagement.
And it sounds like you're doing quite a bit of work with the data centers as well. Are they coming to you and exhibiting interest in this type of model?
Yeah, the same sort of philosophy applies to the data center, actually. You know, there are the 2 or 3 well-known companies that have become synonymous with cloud. But there's a huge network of very good data centers throughout the world that are entering cloud or want to create a cloud program. But when you're a regional data center, it's hard to have national coverage. It's hard to compete from an advertising perspective with the large players. It's hard to create scale. So our program actually works with those third-party data center providers to federate them into our network. So we can work with data centers in different geographies, help them understand their cost of production, help them understand the amount of capacity they have to sell, and then we can add them to the 6Fusion iNode network and market their services through our international clientele of managed service providers. And this gives them international reach. It gives them access to markets that they wouldn't otherwise have. And that helps to create that ecosystem where the data centers provide supply and the managed service providers create demand. And that allows everybody access to a much broader market than they would otherwise have.
Sounds like there's going to be a lot of MSPs, cloud providers, and VARs entering the space who are going to be pretty excited about this technology and how quickly they can get into the private cloud
Absolutely.
business.
Absolutely. The software makes it very simple to access. Our engagement model, and that no upfront model makes it very low risk, very little overhead. And once you have access to our software platform, you can literally deploy workloads in minutes. And we've seen plenty of examples where service providers have customers who experience failures, and they'll call us and say, we need an environment to restore to right now. And we can help them have that environment restored literally in the same day. And that requires no research on data centers. It requires no new contracts. It requires, everything's just there. Power on, restore, and go. So it's a very nice model for that. The private cloud enablement piece allows the managed service providers and the value-added resellers who deal with larger organizations to actually help those organizations create private clouds, connect them to the iNode network, giving them that hybrid view. So from the single console, you can log in and deploy workloads to your internal cloud, but also deploy to the external cloud through the single console. Our profiling tools allow MSPs to actually understand the cost of migration. So we've talked about the 6Fusion model being utility-based, so the question becomes, how much does it cost?
Sure.
So with the profiling tools, you can install some software on your client's machines to understand what their consumption is and actually provide a value-added service around understanding if they're a good fit for the cloud. Is it cost-effective, or does it make sense to buy a new piece of hardware? Because it's
before they make the switch.
Before they make the switch.
Yeah.
There are cases where certain databases and certain kinds of applications don't virtualize well. Right? They don't go into the cloud that well. So our profiling tools can help you understand which ones are cloud ready or cloudable, I've heard, a cloudability index. But it basically tells you how many compute resources are going to be necessary. That allows you to position a quote to your customer and to ensure that there's an appropriate amount of profit for you in that recurring contract. And then our partner development specialists will help you migrate to the cloud once that decision has been made.
For our viewers who would like to learn more about 6Fusion, is there a website that they can go to?
Absolutely. The best place to start is at 6Fusion.com, so www.6Fusion, the number 6Fusion.com. And you can click on the Learn More information there, and that will engage our team to contact you and follow up. You can try a 30-day free trial, just get access to the software. The best place with the cloud is to start. And once you get your hands on it, and once your technical resources start to understand the power and how quickly they can go to market with it, it'll become the default choice, absolutely.
Something tells me we're going to be hearing a lot from you guys in the next
Absolutely. That's
few
exactly
months.
the plan. Thank you
Rob,
very much.
thank you very much for being here.
No problem.
Thank you.